The journey you never see. Pick up your phone, look at your shoes, open your kitchen drawer. Almost everything around you has crossed oceans, borders, warehouses, and the financial systems before reaching your hands. We're taught globalization made goods cheaper. We're taught supply chains are simply about efficiency. Raw materials move to factories. Factories ship to markets. Consumers buy. But here's the deeper question. If global supply chains are so efficient, why do shortages happen so quickly? Why do prices spike overnight? And when disruptions occur, who absorbs the loss and who quietly profits? Tonight, we uncover the hidden architecture of global supply chains, not just the ships and the trucks, but the financial and the strategic layers beneath them. Because supply chains aren't just logistical systems, they are power structures. Part 1. Origins. Trade becomes infrastructure. Global supply chains didn't begin with container ships. They began with empire. In the 16th and the 17th centuries, colonial powers structured trade routes to extract raw materials from colonies and ship them to Europe for manufacturing. Wealth concentrated at the center. Production and consumption were separated. The Industrial Revolution accelerated this separation. Steamships and railways expanded reach. Telegraph cables allowed coordination across continents. But the real transformation came in the 20th century with containerization. Standardized shipping containers turned global trade into a seamless system. Goods could move from factory floor to cargo ship to rail line without being unpacked. Costs dropped dramatically. Trade volumes surged. The system became faster and more interconnected. Part 2. The rise, efficiency above all. After World War II, trade liberalization intensified. The Bretton Woods era stabilized currencies. Tariffs fell. Multinational corporations expanded production overseas. Then came just-in-time manufacturing. Companies realized inventory was expensive. Warehouses tied up capital, so they minimized storage and relied on continuous global shipments. Production fragmented. Raw materials from one continent, components assembled in another, final products sold in asset. This reduced costs. But it also removed buffers. Efficiency became the priority. Resilience became secondary. And the financial engineering layered on top. Part 3. Financialization of the supply chain. Here's where the story deepens. Supply chains aren't just physical, they are financial. Large retailers negotiate extended payment terms with suppliers. Suppliers borrow short-term capital to operate. Banks finance shipping through trade credit and the letters of credit. Inventory is leveraged. Cargo is insured. Futures markets hedge commodities. Private equity acquires logistics firms and squeezes margins. The supply chain becomes a chain of contracts, debt obligations, and risk transfers. And in the system, scale matters. The largest corporations gain bargaining power over smaller producers. They dictate prices, payment timelines, and the production standards. When margins tighten, pressure moves downward to factories and the workers. But profits often move upward to brand owners, financial intermediaries, and the shareholders. Part 4. The breaking point. Pandemic shock. COVID-19 pandemic exposed the fragility. Factories shut down. Ports clogged. Shipping rates skyrocketed. A single container that once cost $2.0 to ship jumped above $1.5 in some routes. Consumers saw empty shelves. But look deeper. While small businesses struggled, major shipping firms reported record profits. Freight rates surged because capacity was constrained. Limited supply met high demand. Companies with control over shipping lanes and the logistics hubs gained enormous pricing power. The disruption revealed something critical. Efficiency without redundancy creates vulnerability. And the vulnerability creates opportunity for those positioned upstream. Part 5. Who truly profits? Let's break it down. Pertama, brand owners and the platform giants. Companies that control branding, distribution platforms, and the data often capture the highest margins. Manufacturing may occur abroad, but intellectual property and the marketing power reside in headquarters economies. Kedua, logistics gatekeepers. Major shipping alliances and the port operators influence global flow. When bottlenecks occur, freight prices rise. Ketiga, financial institutions. Trade finance banks and the commodity traders profit from volatility. When prices swing, hedging activity increases. Keempat, commodity producers in strategic positions. Countries or firms controlling rare minerals, energy resources, or agricultural inputs gain leverage during shortages. But here is the pattern. Those closest to raw labor and the production often face the thinnest margins. Those controlling coordination, financing, and the branding often capture the largest share. Supply chains may be global but profit concentration is not evenly distributed. Partner modern parallels, geopolitics and the realigmento die. Global supply chains face new pressures. Trade tensions, sanctions, regional conflicts, energy disruptions, climate events. Governments are pushing reshoring in the friendshoring, relocating production closer to home or allied nations. But rebuilding redundancy is expensive. Consumers accustomed to low prices resist cost increases. Corporations balance resilience against shareholder expectations. Meanwhile, strategic sectors, semiconductors, rare earth minerals, energy infrastructure become geopolitical flashpoints. Control over supply chains becomes national security policy. The same system built for efficiency now intersects with strategic competition. Part grew up in a small town, surrounded by cornfields and the endless skies. Her days were filled with the simple joys of childhood, chasing fireflies, building forts, and the dreaming of faraway lands. But as she blossomed into a young woman, a sense of restlessness began to stir within her. She yearned for something more, something beyond the familiar horizons of her hometown. Part 2. The hidden leverage of data. Another transformation is underway. Supply chain data tracking, forecasting, demand modeling has become a competitive asset. Companies that control predictive analytics can adjust production before shortages emerge. Data reduces uncertainty, but it also increases asymmetry. Those with advanced analytics see disruptions early. Those without react late. In a tightly wound system, timing equals advantage. Part 8. The repeating pattern across history. We see a cycle. 1. Trade expands for efficiency. 2. Production fragments globally. 3. Costs fall. Profits rise. 4. Redundancy shrinks. 5. A shock hits. 6. Bottlenecks reveal concentration of power. Each time, that is the same. Globalization promises lower prices and the greater access. But the structure concentrates coordination power at the top. And when stress occurs, those controlling choke points gain leverage. 3 clear takeaways. 1. Supply chains are financial systems, not just shipping routes. Debt, contracts, insurance, and the derivatives underpin the physical movement of goods. Follow the financing and you find influence. 2. Efficiency and the fragility are 2 sides of the same coin. Just-in-time systems maximize profit during stability, but minimal buffers amplify shocks. Resilience costs money, and the profit models often resist redundancy. 3. Power lies in coordination, not production. Factories produce goods, but those who coordinate flow. Shipping alliances, brand owners, financiers often capture disproportionate value. The visible work is not always where the invisible profit resides. Afina talked global supply chains connect billions of people. They reduce poverty. They enable innovation. But they also reveal structural imbalance. When you buy a product, you participate in a vast system of extraction, transformation, financing, and the distribution. The question isn't whether globalization is good or bad. It's whether we understand who benefits most from its architecture. Because when the next disruption hits, and the history suggests it will, the same structural advantages will determine who absorbs the shock and who quietly profits.